I want to talk about Michael Cohen. This is crazy. So he's a witness in the case. So's Stormy Daniels. And Trump can't criticize them. This is crazy talk, you guys. Michael Cohen can't get enough of criticizing Donald Trump. Here he was just the other night talking about what a victim he is because of Trump's many threats on Joy Reid. This is this past Thursday, SOT 3.
This is not a joke. He knows what he's doing. And I think it's incumbent upon the Manhattan DA, along with whatever Judge Merchan is capable of doing, to do something to protect not just staff, not just his own child, but all of the witnesses that are being asked to testify.
How can it be that he can go out and say what he wants, but Trump cannot?
Well, I think, Megyn, it goes back to what I was saying about, tampering with a witness. This isn't Arthur Aidala sending out these tweets or going on the airwaves. This is the guy who's the former president of the United States and could be the next president of the United States.
So what?
And it's an intimidation. You're intimidating.
Because he's powerful?
It's the same as someone going into the coffee shop, sitting next to the witness, and he looks like a tough guy, and he goes, what would be the worst idea if you weren't around next Monday? We'll see what happens. Everyone knows where your family lives. But,
so he has fewer free speech rights than the average Joe because he has a large platform?
To free speech. You know that there are limitations to free speech rights. I don't know. We just talked about it.
Michael Cohen has access to all day MSNBC, all day CNN, all day. He's got a big voice and uses it, and that's fine.
Okay,
that's
but when
fine
you're
with
the
me.
judge,
but how can he not? How can he be protected from return fire?
Because what the judge is saying is, Mr. Trump, if you and your team want to go after Mr. Cohen's credibility, you're going to do so in my courtroom in front of 12 jurors under the rules of evidence. You're not going to just start spewing things out and tainting the whole jury
Michael Cohen should be banned
before the trial starts.
Why isn't he banned from going on MSNBC? I mean, Mark, Arthur's
he's
right.
A witness. He's not a criminal defendant. He's a witness.
But he's not.
Arthur's right.
He's non-stop talking. He's prejudicing the defendant's right to a fair trial every day.
He has those rights. He has those rights. He hasn't lost them as being indicted in this case.
It's so many. It's like, it reminds me of these cases where my clients are ordered to stay away from the alleged victim in a case, and then my client's like, I want that person to stay away from me. Why doesn't the judge order that person to stay away? Because you're the defendant. You're the one that's appearing in front of the court. You're the one that needs the control, according to the judge. And it is different. You don't want there to be, and I'm not saying that there is, but this judge is saying that the legal distinction is that whatever Trump is putting out there could have an adverse effect on justice and could intimidate witnesses, to Arthur's point.
This is so unfair. You're right. That's what the judge said. He wrote as follows: courts are understandably concerned about the First Amendment rights of the defendant, especially when the accused is a public figure. The circumstances of the instant matter, however, are different. The conventional David versus Goliath roles are no longer in play, as demonstrated by the singular power defendant's words have on countless others. I mean, that bothers me because he's basically saying Trump is so well known with such a powerful online following that he in particular should be gagged because he's not David versus Goliath, the system. And that's just not true because the system is still Goliath, even if the person they're going after is the former president. The system goes in there. Alvin Bragg goes before this jury with the being able to say, I represent the people of New York. And I'm telling you, this guy's a criminal. The deck is still stacked in favor of the prosecution, not the defendant. And if his attempt at fighting this battle, which is all over the media, is basically jury nullification, saying everybody's corrupt, this is all a political, partisan hack job on me, it is prejudicial to take his rights away from him in that way.
Megyn, are you actually
have a right to jury?
Hold on,
jury nullification.
Hold on. When Megyn, are you actually saying that it's not relevant for the judge to consider the reach that the person sending out the message has, that somehow Donald Trump has the same impact on potential witnesses and potential jurors as the average Joe who has 16 followers?
I am saying
I don't
that.
think so.
Yeah. I am
You
saying
are.
that. I am. I don't think Donald Trump's rights. Look, I just feel the need to say this. I was on the receiving end of this guy's threats for a year, okay? And I understand acutely how disruptive it can be to one's life and one's children and one's safety. I genuinely get it. So I do feel for those who are on the receiving end of it. I really do, whether it's the judge's daughter, Michael Cohen, Stormy Daniels. I want my audience to remember that too. I want you to remember that. Just because you may love Trump doesn't mean it's appropriate for him to be threatening anybody. But these are not threats. What I see here are criticisms and attempts to diminish the credibility of the people who are going to come for him, like Cohen, like Stormy Daniels. And that is fair game. And if they are going to take the stand and come for him in a criminal setting, they have to expect that he is going to have thoughts on those accusations and their behavior. And Michael Cohen, not only he's all over MSNBC, but Stormy Daniels just had a whole documentary made about her and her relationship with Trump. It's being aired right now. She was on The View 2 weeks ago. That's fine. But he's got to sit there and just say, she's an angel. She's a sweet little lady. She's like Mother Teresa. I've got no thoughts on her.
No, his very fine lawyers, Susan Necklace and Todd Blanche, they'll be able to destroy him on the witness stand. Didn't you just get in trouble in federal court for submitting cases that were artificial intelligence that didn't exist? Aren't you a convicted felon? Didn't you plead to lying and this and that in front of a jury under the rules of evidence, under the control of a judge? And yes, Donald Trump, as a criminal defendant, whether you like it or not, he loses certain rights and privileges that those of us are entitled to.
Wait. Well, let me ask you this. Well, what about Dershowitz is always railing about, and your client and your friend, he's always railing about on the right to free speech. It's not only Trump's right to speak, it's our right to hear him speak. You know, he is going to be the Republican nominee. Right now, he's polling in a way that suggests he's going to be the next president of the United States. We have a right to hear what he has to say about these public attacks being launched against him. And therefore, this ruling is stifling our rights too in a way that's unconstitutional.
There's some truth to that. I do want to hear some of the messages, but let me ask you, let me turn it around. Are you saying, Megyn, that you think that every single message that he sent out in this context is appropriate?
Well, I think it can rise to the level of a threat, and that's where his power comes in. You know, if I were the judge, I would not allow threats. I would allow him to attack the daughter. I would say, if you want to attack my daughter, it's unfortunate. I hope you don't do that, but okay. But if you start threatening her or any other witness in this case, we're going to have a problem. But I'd also say this, if my daughter attacks you first, or if a witness attacks you first publicly, then go for it. Like I would not allow them to be out there publicly attacking Trump every night on the airwaves and in movies and so on,
Megyn,
and then say he has no right to, because you're ignoring his other lane, which is the future president of the United States in all likelihood.
Well, that's not the judge's role. The judge is allowed to ignore his other lane. The judge is looking in him with blinders on.
Why does the judge get to take into account his power when deciding whether he needs to be silenced, but not in deciding whether he has the right to speak and we have the right to hear him?
It's about intimidating a witness. I'll give you the scenario I just gave you. If there's a witness in the coffee shop who's about to testify and some big bruiser comes and says, you probably shouldn't go to court on Monday, that's one thing. If some little meek, like 17-year-old kid says it, it's not really a big threat. You say, whatever you say, kid. So the judge is allowed to take into consideration, am I allowing a criminal defendant to prevent a witness from testifying in a case against him? I cannot allow that to happen.
This is utterly
Megyn,
unfair.
let me add,
it ignores
Megyn,
the reality that you're indicting the former president who's the Republican nominee. It completely ignores that there is this other lane in which it's extremely important for Trump to be able to fucking fight these charges. Sorry. It's not my love for Trump. It's my love for the system and for his rights and for free speech in America, and what's being done for him or to him is outrageous. And this is the problem. So the judge wants to hide behind the shield of, oh, I'm just protecting the innocent witnesses.
Wait, Megyn,
but meanwhile, they're out there in a constant smear campaign with the help of all the media.
This is what ticks me off about America and the injustices. Look, it's the people we like Trump, he's getting a bad deal. How come no one said Harvey Weinstein got a bad deal when they slapped a gag order on him? And he wasn't even the one talking. It was me. I wasn't allowed to say these witnesses are full of it. These witnesses are money hungry. They have Gloria Allred trying to get cared. Oh, Harvey Weinstein got to get about it. Megyn Kelly doesn't care. Nobody else cares. But because it's someone we like, it's Donald Trump. Now we're pissed off. We should be pissed off when
like to say,
lawyers get.
Assumes facts, not in evidence.
When it happens to Harvey, we should be pissed off at everyone, not just Donald Trump.
Mark assumes facts. I may or may not like Trump. I don't really love Trump, to tell you the truth. He's fine. But I prefer his politics to those of Joe Biden, for sure. And my goal as a media person is not to like him or love him or hate him or whatever. It's just to try to cover him fairly, which I do. So it's not about loving Trump. It's about watching what's being done to him and understanding that there is a reality here of which the judge is very aware. And he can't, both take into account his power to upend his daughter's life with a mean tweet and then not take into account the reason he has that power. It's because he's the likely Republican nominee for president, which is why he must respond to these public attacks publicly. It's not about intimidating witnesses. It's about keeping the playing field for the nation and the contest that he's in fair. With cyber attacks on the rise, protecting your data security is more important than ever. So why is Congress considering a bill that could put your credit card data at greater risk of being hacked and exposed to foreign networks? Our Advertiser, the Electronic Payments Coalition, says the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill shifts billions in consumer spending to less secure payment networks, all so that corporate megastores can make bigger profits. Find out more about the issue at electronicpaymentscoalition.org and decide for yourself if you would like to tell your senators to oppose the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.